if you showed me the movie Carry On without me knowing when it was released or who starred in it, and you said, hey, what era is this movie from? I would immediately tell you this movie came from the 1990s because it has this very specific type of structure and feel and way the characters behave. So this movie's kind of great. Let's talk about Carry On. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on the red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. You can also follow me over on Rumble. You can also follow me on X, Hometown0YT. You can also follow me on Instagram at RealHometown0. So, Jason Bateman and Taron Egerton are in this movie. Taron Egerton plays Ethan, who is a TSA agent. And this movie somehow makes being a TSA agent seem kind of cool, which if you've been to the airport is a bit of a hard sell if you've gotten on an airplane in a post 9/11 world, which of course at this point happened 24 years ago. You would know that the TSA seems like it's kind of a tedious job where you have to deal with a lot of nonsense from people. So this movie doesn't really, it kind of makes some laughs and jokes at the fact that everyone kind of likes to dump on the TSA, but it does embrace our character in that role of this TSA agent. Basically, he is kind of like treading water, hasn't gotten any promotions at work despite being there for 3 years. His girlfriend is pregnant. She's kind of like low-key annoyed with him for not progressing in his career or not like really having that zeal and passion at the age of 30. So he's trying to figure stuff out, and he gets put in an uncomfortable situation where he like finally tries to do the right thing and be more like engaged at work, and then he gets put into the chair where he's watching like people's stuff come through the luggage scanner, the X-ray machine, and then as a result, because he's there instead of this other guy, this group of, let's just call them terrorists, is trying to smuggle something onto an airplane for very specific political reasons, and he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And of course, he has to do everything he can to navigate this situation and save the day. And movies like this used to be a dime a dozen in the 90s, and I'm not just talking about like specific man placed into a specific situation. I'm talking about like you have your antagonist who has to stop this world-changing event, and then everything is like wrapped up very cleanly with a bow at the end of it. And movies like this all the time in the 90s. You had just tons of them. You had The Rock, you have disaster movies like Volcano, you have Jean-Claude Van Damme movies like Sudden Death, just on and on and on. And so this movie feels like it was made in that era, and it has all the pluses and minuses that come with that. It's got like the payoff moments where the good guy tricks the bad guy, and the bad guy tricks the good guy, and oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And it's very, very, very predictable as a result, but the movie doesn't hide what it's trying to do, and it seems to really embrace its roots in that way. And so it ends up being like a lot of fun as long as you're willing to turn your brain off. It's kind of like a summer action blockbuster that actually just comes out on Netflix instead. And I think it deserves a lot of credit for being one of the better action thrillers on Netflix. Again, you really do have to turn your mind off at some point because the characters, mostly side characters, do some kind of insane things where you're like, oh, that doesn't really make any sense. You could have just done this instead, and everything would be solved and done, and nobody would be, nobody would be dead, and the movie would be like 10 minutes long. So I like this movie. Carry On is really good. I do need to give a special shout out to Jason Bateman, who tends to play like the everyman who's got like a little bit of edge to him. He plays the bad guy in this unnamed mercenary who's trying to pull off this this attack, and he's kind of great. He has just the right amount of like menace and nastiness and nonchalantness about his job to him. And then Taron Egerton, it's really interesting hearing him do an American accent because he's obviously a British actor. But he pulls it off just fine, and everybody here does a really good job with the work that they're given. Despite the fact that the movie is cheesy, it tends to be a lot of fun. So I really liked Carry On, probably way more than I thought I would. Let me know what you think of the movie in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. Again, you can follow me on social media, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m.